18 members of the Hoolies Gang, ranging in age from 19 to 33, are named in the 63-count indictment that includes 4 homicides and 8 non-fatal shootings. The NYPD says there are under 100 members in this Bed-Stuy-based gang.
Prosecutors say they were part of a street gang called the Brick Squad, a subset of a bigger violent criminal network.
10 men arrested, accused of funneling money back to members behind bars.
All 12 of these men face charges from murder to attempted murder in connection with 10 separate shootings since 2015.
These defendants show a complete and utter disregard for human life.
Dubbed Bama Life off the streets. Prosecutors say the crew terrorized a Brooklyn neighborhood for years. In one case, prosecutors say the gang shot 8 people at this party in Bed-Stuy last summer.
Boasting about committing crimes on the internet doesn't pay. 14 members of a Brooklyn gang were busted after idiots in their crew accepted Facebook friend requests from a cop who was tipped off to their year-long Crown Heights crime wave, authorities said.
Brooklyn has long been a battleground for violent gang rivalries, fueled by drugs, guns, and deep-rooted territorial disputes. From Bushwick to East New York to Bed-Stuy, law enforcement has carried out major takedowns targeting street crews responsible for dozens of deletions, shootings, and drug trafficking operations. These high-profile indictments, spanning operations like New Boss, Tidal Wave, and major RICO cases against crews like Brick Squad, Bama Life, and the Hoolies, offer a window into the deadly reach of organized street gangs in New York City. This report breaks down the most significant cases, the charges, and the fallout as prosecutors and federal agents move to dismantle the borough's most violent criminal networks.
This man in black opening fire down Myrtle Avenue and Harmon Street in the late afternoon on March 1st. Children and adults racing down the street in fear. Police say the alleged gunman is a member of the street gang shaded in green. Only TBO is the largest gang. The members range in age from just 17 to 26. 12 of these men face charges from murder to attempted murder in connection with 10 separate shootings since 2015. Says the intended targets in this March surveillance video are members of the Elm Street Piru gang shaded in green. TBO is the largest gang in blue. The other rival gangs here in Bushwick are 900 shaded in pink and Loot Gang in yellow. It was here at the intersection of Madison Street and Evergreen Avenue that a TBO gang member known as Bless was shot dead. That was in September of 2013, and police say since then the gang has been on a mission to retaliate. Take a look at this gunman in red firing multiple shots. It happened in front of a market on Knickerbocker Avenue in July of 2015. The gunman missed his target, but a bullet went right through the window of a parked car, narrowly missing a man. And in October of 2015, police say this TBO member allegedly fired 3 shots, hitting an MTA bus. You can see here what looks like a puff of smoke, a bullet narrowly missing this passenger. She was cut on the forehead from broken glass.
There, if you look at the blue shaded area, that's where the TBO, True Bosses Only crew, operates. The green shaded area to the west is where the Elm Street Piru crew operates. The pink shaded area is where the 900 gang operates, mostly in Bedford-Stuyvesant and the Sumner houses. And all the way to the bottom right of the exhibit, there's a yellow shaded area. I think the number 2 is over there. And that is where you're going to see the Loot Gang. That's the Ocean Hill houses.
Killed by that bullet that went straight through a city bus, considering it was a very close call. Take a look at the bus driver. He was led away this afternoon by paramedics and police. Now, officials here on the scene tell me that a bullet whizzed right by his head around 2:30 this afternoon. The MTA saying at least one bullet pierced through the window of the B13 bus that was going straight down Wyckoff Avenue. The shattered glass injured a female passenger. She was taken to Wyckoff Hospital, and then the bullet went out through the window. The incredible thing about this is that where the bullet exited the bus after going through the left passenger window, right where it went through the other window is where 2 passengers could have been seated, but those bus seats were empty. And incredible.
In June 2017, Brooklyn prosecutors announced a sweeping 59-count indictment against 12 suspected members of the True Bosses Only crew, also known as Team Bang Out. as part of a major gang crackdown labeled Operation New Boss. Acting District Attorney Eric Gonzalez, alongside the NYPD's Gun Violence Suppression Division, revealed that the Bushwick-based group had been involved in a violent turf war from 2015 to 2017, during which numerous shootings took place and several innocent bystanders were injured. The indictment included serious charges connected to at least 10 shootings, primarily concentrated in the area east of Putnam Street between Wyckoff Avenue and Broadway. The defendants ranged aged 17 to 26. All 12 pleaded not guilty, with bail amounts ranging from $100,000 to $1.5 million. Gonzalez emphasized the city's commitment to combating gang violence, stating, "We simply cannot tolerate this kind of brazen violence." The indictment detailed several alarming incidents. On July 8, 2015, Laras allegedly fired across the street from the High Mango Market on Knickerbocker Avenue, located in rival Elm Street Piru territory. Although he missed his intended target, a bullet pierced a parked car's window, nearly striking a man seated inside. On October 30, 2015, Laras reportedly opened fire in front of 180 Wyckoff Avenue, again in Piru territory, striking an MTA bus and causing glass to injure a passenger. Nearly a year later, on September 11, 2016, Laras allegedly fired multiple rounds at rival gang members near Central Avenue, accidentally hitting 2 women who were simply walking by. Then, on March 1, 2017, Laras allegedly shot down Myrtle Avenue toward 2 Piru members riding bicycles, instead hitting a bystander in the torso and sending pedestrians, including children, fleeing for cover.
Prosecutors say they were part of a street gang called the Brick Squad, a subset of a bigger, violent criminal network.
10 men arrested, accused of funneling money back to members behind bars. Prosecutors say the gang is behind several shootings, 2 of them deadly and caught on video.
His name is Howard Smith, but authorities say he likes to go by a nickname.
Yo, bro, I'm Godfather.
That's Smith on a wiretapped call from inside prison, where prosecutors allege he sent marching orders to this team of gang members. Another gang member, Markel Pender, inside the prison walls of Attica, sent similar orders, even showed surveillance video of this one, where the accused gunman raises his arms only hours after he appeared in this video smoking with victim John Fernandez, allegedly targeted for not selling enough.
This is an old school gang, and they make their money from dealing drugs.
And here's another surveillance video of a second on Hart Street in Bed-Stuy in April of 2018. Brick Squad gang allegedly sold drugs not only in Brooklyn, but also in Binghamton and in Bangor, Maine. The major clue that tipped off law enforcement, the prison commissary accounts of Smith and Pender, gang members allegedly contributing money to prove loyalty.
Is from our investigation, seems to be the leader of this gang. He's a 49-year-old man. He's been in prison for quite some time. His name is Howard Smith. His nickname is Hamo. He also goes by the Godfather. He's currently serving a life sentence, and we allege that he is the leader of this Brick Squad gang. He is definitely an integral part of this conspiracy, although he's in prison. When we were investigating this case, one of the things we learned is that he has more than $25,000 in his commissary. We learned that he was often complaining that people weren't putting enough money in his commissary and wasn't visiting him enough. Let's play one of the calls that we intercepted.
Most of these dudes are not really putting nothing in. They're not even putting no work in, especially behind Choo. No, bro, that's all. Yo, bro, I'm the fucking Godfather, right? I'm the fucking Godfather. I don't take care of he take care of me. What Godfather you looking at? And then he takes care of Think about it. Does it make sense?
The Brick Squad, a Bloods-affiliated gang, also known as the untouchable guerrilla Stone Nation, was active in Brooklyn neighborhoods like East New York and Brownsville. In December 2019, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced a 48-count indictment against 10 alleged members, charging them with racketeering, deletion, drug trafficking, and weapons offenses. Authorities said the gang was moving drugs across New York City, upstate New York, and even into Maine, using violence to control their territory. At the center of the case was gang leader Howard Smith, known as the Godfather. Prosecutors flagged his unusually large prison commissary account as a sign of the gang's profits. The indictment tied several members to two 17-year-old John Fernandez, shot in Ocean Hill in 2017, and Claudel Gary, gunned down in Bedford-Stuyvesant in 2018. Deshaun Washington, Quazir Farmer, Marco Pender, and Christopher Garcia were among those charged. In total, the indictment included 7 non-fatal shootings and extensive narcotics operations. By September 2024, prosecutors reported that Washington, Garcia, and Farmer had been sentenced to life in prison. 6 other defendants received terms ranging from 4 to 12 years. Gonzalez stated that these convictions should send a clear message. Those who terrorize communities with gun violence and drug crime will be held fully accountable. Court records revealed further detail about the deletions. On December 7, 2017, Deshaun Washington, acting on orders from Christopher Garcia, ambushed and fatally shot fellow gang member John Fernandez outside 601 Bainbridge Street. The two believed Fernandez had cooperated with law enforcement and wasn't earning enough for the crew. On April 18, 2018, Quazir Farmer and Marco Pender shot and rival Claudel Gary outside 175 Hart Street in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The attack, which followed a year-long feud, was carried out at close range.
The Brooklyn DA showed numerous videos of the shootings allegedly committed at the hands of members of the Hoolies Gang. This is the July 2020 shooting that killed a 1-year-old.
Shooting indiscriminately towards a park where people were having a barbecue.
24-year-old Akeem Artis and 25-year-old Deshaun Austin were the alleged shooter and driver. 18 members of the Hoolies Gang, ranging in age from 19 to 33, are named in the 63-count indictment that includes 4 and 8 non-fatal shootings. The NYPD says there are under 100 members in this Bed-Stuy-based gang. Investigators say gang members operated by using a 3-car caravan, a blocker to block a police cruiser, a chaser to speed off to make police chase that car, and a third containing the shooters. They also used an encrypted instant messaging system with coded language.
Now, 18 members of one of the city's most violent gangs, the Hoolies, are being held accountable for 4 and 8 non-fatal shootings. An arrest warrant on the alleged leader and took him and the others into custody without firing a single shot or anyone being injured.
Crew is one of the worst crews that I've ever investigated.
Early one rainy morning this week, more than 70 NYPD officers and other local and federal law enforcement gathered at the NYPD Gun Violence Suppression Division headquarters.
Shootings took place in Brooklyn. One of the victims, a 22-month-old boy, killed during a cookout in Bed-Stuy.
Today, the families of some of those victims spoke out before a judge sentenced those 3 gang members to long prison terms.
That was the only word Deshaun Austin said before he was sentenced to 50 years to life after 27-year-old Janelle Whitted in March of 2020. Months before, Whitted was followed by Austin after leaving a nightclub. Austin shot him at point-blank range. After 6 months on trial, Austin, along with Travis Scott, Jaquan Lane, and Akeem Artis, members of Bed-Stuy's Hoolies Gang, were found guilty of a number of charges.
The Hoolies are a violent street gang operating in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, particularly around the Roosevelt Houses and the 53rd Police Precinct. In May 2021, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announced a 63-count indictment against 18 alleged Hoolies members, linking them to a deadly string of crimes between 2018 and 2020. The charges included 4 deletions and 8 non-fatal shootings, many tied to ongoing gang rivalries. Among the most tragic incidents was the July 2020 demise of 22-month-old Davell Gardner Jr., who was fatally shot during a family barbecue. 2 Hoolies members, Deshaun Austin and Akeem Artis, were charged in the child. Another member, Travis Topo Scott, had previously been charged with the 2018 demise of Jano Whitted in Bed-Stuy. In 2024, all 3 men, Scott, Artis, and Austin, were convicted. Scott and Artis were sentenced to 50 years in prison each, while Austin received a 40-year sentence. This indictment detailed several alarming incidents. Jerry O. Washington allegedly shot a 900-member multiple times in the back, near in a courtyard of the Marcy Houses, near 626 Park Avenue. The victim survived. Shortly after the slaying of Hoolie's leader Jalo Jackboy and the wounding of Akil Beans Artis, allegedly by a 900 member and an accomplice, various Hoolies members met in a Roosevelt Houses apartment to allegedly plot a series of revenge shootings. The first took place at the intersection of Ralph Avenue and Bainbridge Street, where Rasheem Parnell, known as both Hoolie Sco and Baby Raw, allegedly shot an innocent bystander 4 times in the torso, left leg, and groin, leaving the 23-year-old man paralyzed. A second retaliatory shooting took place when Travis Scott, known as Loso and Trav, allegedly opened fire at Tyree Walker as he walked toward his home at 997 Myrtle Avenue. Walker, who authorities say was not a 900 member, was hit multiple times in the torso and died. A third shooting tied to Grant's slaying took place when several Hoolies drove to the Kingsborough houses and fired multiple shots near Ralph Avenue and Dean Street, hitting an innocent bystander in the chest. The 43-year-old victim survived. Michael Doogie Parnell, 19, allegedly opened fire at a group of 900 members standing in front of the apartment building at 260 Herkimer Street. Dominic Scott, known as Chino and Domo, allegedly followed a man into 65 Tompkins Avenue, part of the Tompkins houses, and asked if he was 900. Scott then allegedly shot the man in his arm, pistol whipped him, and stole his cell phone. The victim was not a gang rival. Jaquan Lane, known as Bo and Bashan, and Dashawn Austin, known as Capo, Doo-Doo, and Hot Wheels, drove to the Kinnem Lounge, 856 Atlantic Avenue, after Lane got a text message saying that a member of the rival Pop Out Boys gang was there. Lane and Austin allegedly followed Pop Out Boys member Jano Whitted to the nearby Amour Cabaret, 566 Nostrand Avenue, where Austin made his way through the crowd and allegedly fired several shots into Whitted's chest, deleting him. Several Hoolies traveled in a white Mercedes-Benz to the Raymond Bush Playground at 457 Madison Street, where a memorial was being held for Whitted. Once there, they got out and opened fire at the mourners. Unique Trillanul, 21, leaned out the window of a white Mercedes-Benz driven by Jonathan Arroyo, known as Junito and Jayo, and opened fire at a person riding a scooter across from 231 Throop Avenue, part of the Sumner houses. The intended target was shot in the chest but survived. Artis, since recovered from his 2018 shooting, allegedly repeatedly fired a pistol at a black sedan that had driven past him near 69 Stuyvesant Avenue. A Hoolies member identified only as RM drove a Chrysler Pacifica alongside a teal-colored sedan near the brownstone at 579 Monroe Street, around at which point someone inside the Pacifica fired a pistol toward the sedan and a group of people nearby. A 3-car caravan of a Mercedes-Benz, an Audi, and a Volkswagen Jetta lined up in front of the apartment building at 365 Pulaski Street, where cops spotted the activity and activated the lights on a patrol car. The Jetta sped off, luring away the cops, after which the Mercedes and the Audi turned onto Madison Street, near a park where a cookout was underway. The two cars circled the block and returned moments later, when Austin and a second, unidentified shooter allegedly got out of Audi and opened fire at a group of people attending the cookout. 4 innocent bystanders were hit, including 1-year-old Davell Gardner, who later died. The 3 others survived. Divine Moore, who's known as Squeak, allegedly used a .40 caliber pistol to shoot into a dark-colored sedan owned by a 900 member that was traveling east past 365 Pulaski Street. Brandon Lee Loke allegedly fired a pistol at both a dark-colored sedan and a white vehicle in front of 375 Pulaski Street. Lamore Law Weems and Freedom Williams, who's known as Free and Free Light, went into a bodega at 147 Park Avenue, after which 900 member Taven Parker pulled up in a car and also entered the bodega. Parker bought something to drink, then went back to his car. Weems allegedly handed Williams a loaded pistol and told him, "Do what you do," after Williams said Parker was an op. Williams then allegedly went outside and fired 3 shots into the driver's side of Parker's car, hitting Parker in the head. He died 3 days later.
Today we announced the indictments of 43 members of these 2 rival gangs who terrorized the people of Brownsville. These 2 indictments charge 18 members of an organization called the Hoodstarz and 25 members of an organization calling themselves the Wave Gang for conspiracies to commit murders and other violent crimes against each other. Their access to guns, we've recovered 35 guns during the course of this investigation.
In January 2012, Brooklyn District Attorney Charles Hines and NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly launched Operation Tidal Wave, a major gang crackdown aimed at ending a violent turf war between 2 rival Brownsville crews, the Hoodstars based in the Marcus Garvey Houses and the Wave Gang from the Langston Hughes Houses. The operation led to the arrest of 43 individuals, mostly between the ages of 15 and 21, on a sweeping 102-count indictment. During the early morning raids, police also seized 35 firearms. Investigators revealed that the conflict involved shifting alliances, including connections between Roosevelt Houses, Hoolies, and the Hoodstars. One notable incident included Wave Gang affiliate Sahaya Davis being charged in the shooting of Hoodstars member Nathaniel A.C. Walcott.
Today we announced 4 separate indictments charging 49 gang members with multiple felonies carrying substantial prison sentences for those convicted. Most of them have been apprehended and have been held in either very high bail or no bail. For several years, 2 groups of street thugs who are members of VCG, or Very Crispy Gangsters, if you believe that, that's their name, and the Rockstars have carried on a feud with escalating violence, which involved 12 shootings, one resulting in the wounding of a 10-year-old boy who was shot in the neck while watching television in his family's apartment. The feud also led to 3 homicides. This warlike rivalry began on September 6, 2009, when it's alleged that Rockstar gang member Michael Allen Reed, known as Skills with a Z, shot VCG gang member Taquan Crandall, who is known as Taywheeze. For the next 3 years, the Rockstars and VCG feud terrorized parts of the East New York community as they recklessly shot at each other in crowded parks and on busy streets with no regard for innocent bystanders. The Rockstars gang claimed the Linden Houses and Miller Park as their territory, while the VCG gang claimed Pennsylvania and Livonia Avenues to Glenmore Avenue as their territory. And the maps over there show the areas that they claim to control. Rockstar and VCG gang members worked together by posting orders of protection issued to victims on Facebook and labeling them snitches. Phone call from Rikers Island. Rockstar leader Geraldo Menia called VCG leader Brandon Matos and agreed that any cooperating witness or victim would be, quote, taken care of, end quote, by their respective gangs.
In September 2012, Brooklyn District Attorney Charles Hines and NYPD officials announced sweeping indictments against 49 alleged members of two rival gangs in East New York, the Rockstars and the VCG, also known as the Hoolies Gang. The charges stemmed from a violent 3-year turf war, with defendants ranging in age from 16 to 23, facing counts including conspiracy and second-degree deletions. Investigators revealed that gang members openly posted threats and incriminating content on social media. In one instance, a Rockstars member reportedly taunted rivals online with the message, "Rockstars up 3-0" following a fatal shooting. DA Hines praised the joint efforts of detectives who relied on both social media surveillance and traditional investigative tactics to identify suspects. In September 2018, federal prosecutors in Brooklyn unsealed a 19-count superseding indictment against 9 alleged members of the Bushwick crew, a violent drug ring accused of running a major drug trafficking operation in Brooklyn and Queens. Tied to Mexican cartel suppliers, the group allegedly used deletions, kidnapping, and extortion to protect their business. Prosecutors linked the crew to several brutal deletions. Goodwin was accused of fatally shooting Dundee Williams during a 2012 street fight. Brown and others were charged with torturing and deleting Gary Lopez and Rudy Superville in 2013, then burning their bodies. And Green was charged with the 2014 nightclub deletion of Kelvin Johnson in Queens. Other charges included armed robberies, barbershop stick-ups, and shootings tied to drug deaths. If convicted, the defendants face life sentences. By early 2020, several had pleaded guilty.
New York exclusive, a dangerous gang dubbed Bama Life off the streets. Prosecutors say the crew terrorized a Brooklyn neighborhood for years. In one case, prosecutors say the gang shot 8 people at this party in Bed-Stuy last summer.
Newly released surveillance video that law enforcement sources gave to us exclusively shows 3 men opened fire into a crowd of more than 100 people. They ran for their lives in August of 2021.
The gang has to be held accountable. They are terrorizing our streets. They will be dealt with, and we will not stop.
Hospitalized this morning after this mass shooting here in the courtyard of the Eleanor Roosevelt Houses here at this NYCHA complex. The video, you can see it was very chaotic in the moments after what happened here. This was 927 DeKalb Avenue. As many as 150 people were gathered at the playground for a music video shoot when detectives say those 2 men walked up and opened fire into the crowd. While dozens of people scattered, 3 men and 5 women ended up being hit at least once by bullets and then rushed to area hospitals.
On April 26, 2022, federal prosecutors in the Eastern District of New York unsealed a 35-count racketeering indictment against 6 alleged members of the East New York-based Bama Life gang. The defendants were charged with RICO conspiracy, multiple shootings, firearms violations, drug trafficking, and fraud. Prosecutors say Bama Life members injured at least 12 people in 6 separate shootings between 2019 and 2021. The violence, according to investigators, was fueled by proceeds from drug distribution and elaborate fraud schemes, including bank fraud and unemployment benefits scams. Among the most disturbing incidents, Andrew Simpson is accused of carrying out a mass shooting in August 2021 outside a Bed-Stuy housing complex, where 8 people were wounded. Tyshawn Sumter allegedly opened fire into a crowd at a child's birthday party, reportedly chasing panicked attendees down the street. In the indictment and other court filings, the defendants are charged in connection with 6 non-fatal shootings in East New York and elsewhere in Brooklyn that wounded 12 individuals. Also, as alleged in the indictment, the defendants financed their violent shooting spree through drug dealing and various forms of fraud, including bank fraud and unemployment benefits fraud. On August 11, 2019, Sutton accosted a member of a rival gang after a party in East New York. Sutton demanded to know if the victim was a member of the rival gang and then began shooting and pursuing the intended victim as the victim attempted to flee. Sutton struck and seriously injured his intended target and also struck an innocent bystander in the leg. On April 20, 2020, Sutton ambushed a male victim in the vicinity of 375 Sheffield Avenue in East New York, Brooklyn. Surveillance video shows Sutton approaching the victim undetected from behind, drawing his weapon, firing several shots, and striking the victim in the chest, thigh, and wrist before fleeing the scene. Following Sutton's arrest on federal charges for this shooting, Warren took images of Sutton shooting his victim that were part of a court filing and posted them to Instagram with the message, "My boy great." On May 16, 2020, Sutton and Sumter, together with others, shot and seriously injured a member of a rival gang in the vicinity of 2211 Pitkin Avenue in East New York, Brooklyn. Surveillance video of the shooting shows two cars pulling up to a location approximately 4 blocks from the shooting. Sutton exited one of the cars and approached 2211 Pitkin Avenue, where members of a rival gang are known to congregate, while Sumter and other co-conspirators waited in the vehicle. Surveillance video from inside the building shows Sutton in the lobby holding a firearm. Moments later, Sutton shot the rival in the courtyard of 2211 Pitkin Avenue, ran back to the waiting vehicles, and fled the scene. On July 14, 2020, Sutton, Sumter, and others opened fire on a member of a rival gang member in the vicinity of 620 Vermont Avenue in East New York. Video surveillance footage of the shooting shows Sutton, Sumter, and others arrive at the scene in 2 cars. Sutton and Sumter exited one of the vehicles and began shooting, striking the rival gang member and seriously injuring him. Sutton, Sumter, and several other individuals then ran back to the waiting vehicles, which sped off. On February 6, 2021, Sumter shot at a group of individuals outside a 6-year-old's birthday party in the vicinity of 1093 Putnam Avenue in Brooklyn, after a member of Bama Life had an altercation with those individuals at the party. Video surveillance footage shows Sumter outside the entrance to the party as guests, including young children, were leaving. The surveillance footage shows a group of individuals running from the scene and shows Sumter chasing after them while firing several shots. Following the shooting, Sumter fled in a waiting vehicle. On August 16, 2021, Simpson and at least 2 accomplices shot into a crowd outside of 927 DeKalb Avenue in Brooklyn, striking 8 individuals. Video surveillance of the incident shows Simpson and his accomplices double park near the scene of the shooting, after which 2 of the conspirators approached the large crowd gathered in the courtyard and began firing. The shooters returned to the waiting vehicle and sped off.
Boasting about committing crimes on the internet doesn't pay. 14 members of a Brooklyn gang were busted after idiots in their crew accepted Facebook friend requests from a cop who was tipped off to their year-long Crown Heights crime wave, authorities said. Police officer Michael Rodriguez, an anti-crime officer, friended several alleged members of the Broward Boys gang through the social networking site. Cracking the gang's coded online chatter, cops were then able to set up surveillance of the thieves stepping out onto fire escapes and up to rooftops to make their escape. In one police surveillance video from March, an alleged gang member identified as Olurabu Henry can be seen in broad daylight as he carries a backpack out a window and onto a rooftop where cops were waiting for him.
Looks like they're passing stuff out. Going back up to the roof. Sergeant's coming right to you. Just one in the black hoodie right now. Is coming out right now. Henry's still inside. Up on the roof. Wait till he's coming to you.
Police said the wave of more than a dozen break-ins terrorized Crown Heights residents from April 2011 to March of this year. At a press conference, Police Commissioner Ray Kelly said that the Broward Boys would target people who had just moved into the neighborhood and look for open windows to crawl into. 2 of the break-ins turned violent, authorities said. In one, Darren Dyson, Deshaun Samuels, Christopher Scott, and a 13-year-old boy are accused of tying up a man and a woman during a robbery and sexually assaulting the 22-year-old female. In another, Terry Wally allegedly shot the resident of one home he was burglarizing, then suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound during the struggle with the victim.
The Brower Boys were a notorious teen gang operating in Crown Heights, named after the nearby Brower Park and Street. In May 2012, Brooklyn prosecutors indicted 14 members, ranging in age from 13 to 19, on a sweeping 102-count indictment for a year-long spree of burglaries, robberies, and assaults. The gang specialized in breaking into apartments by climbing fire escapes and moving across rooftops, striking fear throughout the neighborhood. Commissioner Ray Kelly noted that the teens openly bragged about their crimes on Facebook, providing key evidence that helped detectives build the case. District Attorney Charles Hines described the group as having terrorized their neighborhood for an extended period. One of the most disturbing cases linked to the Brower Boys involved Darren Dyson, who was later convicted for a violent January 2012 home invasion in which victims were hogtied and robbed, and a female resident was gang raped. Following the takedown, several members of the crew pleaded guilty and were sentenced to long prison terms, effectively dismantling the group's operation.
Gang members in Brooklyn, some of them barely teenagers. And there's no shortage of surveillance video. The shootings that cops say involved mostly innocent bystanders. Nearly 20 accused gang members now busted for all kinds of charges, including
18 alleged gang members charged in 3 indictments with murder, weapons possession, and other charges. Detectives connected the defendants to 10 shootings that injured 10 people, 8 of them innocent bystanders. Police launched their investigation in the summer of 2021.
The investigation focused on street gangs operating along the border of Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy-based in Brooklyn. 15 of the defendants are reportedly members of the H-Block Billy's gang, an alliance between a 5'9" Brim Blood set and a 9-Tray Blood set, with key locations at 260 to 280 Herkimer Street and 1625 Fulton Street in Crown Heights. The remaining 3 defendants are said to be members of the Gates Fam Street Gang, a subset of the Bloods, which operates around the Louis Armstrong Houses and 523 Gates Avenue in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The indictment alleges that members of the H-Block Billy's gang conspired to delete members of opposing gangs, often discussing their plans on social media through recorded jail conversations and via text messages. Some defendants were found with photos and videos of themselves handling or discussing firearms. Between August 2021 and the date of the indictment, the defendants are accused of carrying out numerous shootings and acts of violence to maintain control over their territory and assert dominance over rival gangs. According to the indictment, the alleged conspiracy began in August 2021 with a series of 3 shootings by H-Block Billy's members within a 2-hour span. These incidents resulted in the deletion of 16-year-old Yaquan Gaz, a member of Gates Fam, and injuries to 3 others, including an innocent bystander mistaken for a rival. The second deletion cited in the indictment occurred on June 25, 2022, when 16-year-old Nashawn Campbell, an associate of a rival gang, was fatally shot in Brownsville's Dr. Green playground. H-Block members Nishon Perry, Demetri Genjax, and Isaiah Charles are charged in connection with this incident, allegedly targeting Campbell while searching for rival gang members. The indictment further details several additional shootings carried out by H-Block Billy's members. On April 12, 2022, Malcolm Davis and Shamari Griffith allegedly left their base at 260 Herkimer Street and traveled to 471 Gates Avenue, where they reportedly opened fire, injuring 3 bystanders. The victims included a 29-year-old man who sustained a spinal cord injury, a 42-year-old man with a graze wound, and a 45-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the thigh. On August 18, 2022, in Folk Nation gang territory, defendants Perry and Jamori Foster allegedly opened fire on a vehicle occupied by 4 people, shattering windows and causing damage, though no injuries were reported. On August 21, 2022, Charles Genjax and another unidentified individual allegedly opened fire on a crowd during a video shoot for a rapper associated with a rival gang, Lincoln Fam. The shooting resulted in a leg injury to a videographer and damage to several cars in the area. The indictment also mentions an incident on October 2, 2023, when Gates Fam member David Robinson allegedly attempted to run over H-Block member Michael Hammond with his vehicle. After crashing into a city bike rack and knocking down a fire department pole, Hammond reportedly fired shots at Robinson's vehicle, striking him in the shoulder.
17 alleged members of 3 Brooklyn gangs were indicted. CBS 2's Natalie Duddridge has more from downtown Brooklyn.
Video shows 2 men with dark hoodies walk into an Albany Avenue apartment and up the stairs where police say a Sweet 16 birthday was underway. Another man at the door pulls out a gun and starts shooting. It happened November 2020. Police say the intended target was this man in the elevator, believed to be a member of a rival gang. In total, 9 people were shot. A 20-year-old woman from Virginia district attorney outlined today that he believes these 17 alleged gang members are behind. The members are part of 3 violent street gangs that formed an alliance called YPF.
The alleged gang members are in custody, including 17-year-old Giovanni Bennett. He's accused of firing a gun right outside of MetroTech in broad daylight. A bullet hit a 19-year-old college student, an innocent bystander. Police also arrested these 2 17-year-olds in connection to a mass shooting. 8 people shot. 1 died outside the Eleanor Roosevelt Houses over the summer.
The district attorney's office has announced the results of a long-term investigation conducted by the Violent Criminal Enterprises Bureau and the NYPD's Brooklyn North Violent Crime Squad into the alleged violent activities of 3 street gangs that formed an alliance. The groups identified as F&O Fear No One, based in Fort Greene, PPP Pistol Packing Pickin', based in East New York, and Yawa, Young and Wild and Hustling, based in Brownsville, collectively refer to themselves as YPF. The alliance was reportedly created to expand their influence and territory, allowing them to coordinate acts of violence against common adversaries and to establish control over geographic areas. According to the allegations, the alliance provided members with greater access to firearms and enabled them to move freely through each other's neighborhoods, effectively increasing their operational reach and allowing them to target rival groups more effectively. The YPF Alliance's territory is said to include several areas in Brooklyn. The Langston Hughes, Van Dyke, and Seth Lowe houses in the 73rd Precinct, Brownsville, which is recognized as Yawa's area, the vicinity of 2211 Pitkin Avenue, known as Fiorentino Plaza in the 75th Precinct, East New York, which is PPP's territory, and the Ingersoll houses and surrounding areas in the 88th Precinct, Fort Greene, which is associated with F&O. The individuals involved in these activities were reportedly between the ages of 14 and 20 at the time the conspiracies began. The investigation has revealed that several incidents were captured on surveillance cameras, and social media platforms were used by the accused to discuss and boast about their actions. Allegations include 14 separate shootings linked to YPF members, resulting in 14 shooting victims, including 9 individuals who were not involved in gang activities. 4 individuals were fatally injured in these incidents, while others sustained injuries. One notable incident allegedly occurred on October 28, 2020, when FNO members Equin Warlick and Nakai Addison reportedly targeted an individual they believed to be a rival inside a bodega on New Lots Avenue in East New York. During the altercation, 18-year-old college student Sherrod McCoy, who was not affiliated with any gang, was chased and subsequently deleted by Warlick outside the bodega. Addison allegedly took possession of the firearm and returned to the bodega to fire additional shots. Another incident took place on November 22, 2020, when it is alleged that George Risher Jr., Warlick, and at least 2 others traveled to East New York for a birthday party where perceived adversaries were expected to be present. The group allegedly fired at individuals near the venue, resulting in one person being struck in the leg and property damage. The situation escalated as the group pursued their perceived rivals to another location, where multiple shots were fired, resulting in the deletion of 20-year-old Digiona Long, a visitor from Virginia, and injuries to 5 other individuals. On September 21, 2021, another incident allegedly occurred involving FNO members at the Metrotech Mall in downtown Brooklyn. During this event, Giovanni Bennett reportedly fired several shots at a former FNO member who had joined a rival group, Berg Fam. An uninvolved New York University student was struck in the arm during the exchange.
A Choo member, Dalik Habasham, pulled the trigger. Thankfully, she survived. The 2 gangs have been terrorizing communities in Brownsville and in Flatbush over the course of a 2-year war. Police say shooting at each other, then bragging about their victims on social media in drill rap videos. But with many of the key players behind bars,
a total of 106 counts have been brought against 32 defendants, 13 alleged members of the Woo group, and 19 alleged members of the Cho group. The indictments are the result of a comprehensive investigation led by the District Attorney's Violent Criminal Enterprises Bureau and the NYPD's Gun Violence Suppression Division. This investigation, spanning from the spring of 2020 to November 2022, focused on two rival groups operating out of several neighboring housing complexes in Brownsville. Woo is based in the Seth Lowe Houses, Van Dyke Houses, Langston Hughes Houses, Glenmore Plaza, and Brownsville Houses. This group is comprised of several subsets, including OMB 1800, Gorilla Stone Bloods, Macballer Bloods, 5'9 Brim, Yawa, and Pistol Packin' Pitkin, PPP. Choo, on the other hand, operates from the Tilden Houses, Howard Houses, Marcus Garvey Village, Newport Gardens, and Riverdale Towers. Their ranks include subsets such as Folk Nation, also known as Gangster Disciples, Move in Silence, MIS, and Hoodstarz. The dividing line between these two territories is often marked by Dumont Avenue, with some housing complexes under the control of both groups located along the same streets. The prolonged rivalry between these organizations is rooted in the desire to maintain control over their respective territories and to assert dominance over each other. This ongoing conflict has led to frequent acts of violence. Much of the animosity intensified following the deletion of Woo member Shamal Boomer on July 10, 2020. While Boomer's deletion was allegedly carried out by a member of the Bergen Fam group, both Bergen Fam and Choo celebrated the incident. This act of disrespect became a catalyst for further conflict, with Woo members vowing to retaliate against their rivals, including Choo, in what they referred to on social media as the Boomin' for Boomer movement. In response, Choo members also engaged in violent acts against Woo members and those perceived to be aligned with them. During the period covered by the indictments, there were 27 incidents, including 2 fatal shootings and 17 non-fatal shootings, which left 14 individuals injured. Over 25 firearms were reportedly used in these violent acts, and 27 firearms were recovered during the investigation. The indictments indicate that many of these incidents were captured on surveillance video, and that the defendants boasted about their actions on social media and in music videos, discussing and taking credit for acts of violence. The first fatal incident mentioned in the indictment occurred on July 5, 2020, when Choo member Corey Henry allegedly entered Woo territory at the Glenmore Plaza housing complex and fatally shot Woo member Jarl Goss. The second occurred on July 12, 2022, when Choo member Shocker Bartley allegedly shot and fatally injured Tyree McLaughlin, a Woo member, outside the Brownsville houses, which are considered Woo territory. Other significant incidents charged in the indictments include the following. On March 25, 2022, it is alleged that Dalik Habersham traveled in a BMW driven by Princess Chambers to Riverdale Avenue, where he believed a Woo member resided. Once there, Habersham allegedly exited the vehicle and fired in the direction of a man who was placing a young child in his car, mistakenly believing the man to be a rival. The child, a 3-year-old girl, was struck in the shoulder. The next day, Habersham allegedly sent a screenshot of a news article about the incident to a private Instagram group, followed by the message, "Did bad." On April 14, 2021, Choo member Parnell Brown was reportedly struck by a Hyundai Sonata driven by Woo member Davian Thompson as Brown attempted to cross the street. After being thrown onto the hood and then to the ground, Brown allegedly pursued the vehicle on foot and fired shots at it as it sped away. It is further alleged that Thompson drove directly to Saks Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, where surveillance footage captured him shopping at the luxury store. On October 6, 2020, Woo member Lawrence Cook allegedly summoned fellow members Elijah Griffith and Avani Stephen after spotting a rival Choo member in a doctor's office waiting room. Griffith and Stephen reportedly arrived and waited nearby until the Choo member exited the office with his mother and young siblings at approximately 2:50 p.m. As the family entered their vehicle, Griffith allegedly fired multiple shots at the vehicle, following Woo's purported policy of shoot on sight.
18 alleged gang members and their friends indicted on dozens of charges, including shootings, like this one in the Kings Plaza Mall in Brooklyn, when members of the Martense Beverly bosses saw rival gang members at the mall. Cops say this is a big deal. Here's Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett.
The Kings Plaza Mall, 5:30 in the afternoon. A young man with a gun aims and fires at a rival gang member. The gun jams, the clip falls out, and there's pandemonium. Committed by members of the Martense Beverly Bosses, a violent street gang affiliated with the notorious gang known as the Bloods.
During the course of this investigation, we saw members firing indiscriminately during daylight hours in the crowds with total disregard to innocent persons as well as rival gangs.
district attorney announced an indictment involving alleged members of the Martense Beverly Bosses, MBB, a group reportedly affiliated with the 5'9 Brims, a subset of the larger Bloods gang. MBB is said to have operated primarily in and around the East Flatbush area of Brooklyn. The indictment details a series of activities between June 1, 2016 and June 14, 2018, during which MBB was allegedly engaged in conflicts with several rival groups such as the Folk Nation. Numerous other violent incidents, including 2 fatal shootings, are described in the indictment as part of this ongoing rivalry. Recorded conversations among MBB members allegedly revealed frequent discussions about who was up on the scoreboard, referring to acts of violence between the gangs. The members reportedly used coded language, referring to firearms as ball kicks and missed shots as air balls. Incarcerated members were allegedly referred to as bench warmers. The indictment also claims that MBB kept incarcerated members informed about the group's activities, including arrests, acts of violence, and other events involving the gang. One incident detailed in the indictment occurred on July 8, 2017, at around 5:40 p.m. when Quentin Raymond, Jeremy Deneau, and Stephen Daly were at Kings Plaza Mall and spotted members of a rival gang. After attempting unsuccessfully to lure the rivals outside, Daly allegedly handed a firearm to Raymond, who tried to fire it but managed only a single shot as the gun reportedly jammed. Another incident occurred on September 16, 2017, at approximately 4:25 a.m. when Donovan Frazier was allegedly deleted by Jermaine Carrington while exiting Franklin's Finest Deli in Crown Heights. Frazier was reportedly associated with Lincoln Fam, a rival group to MBB. On October 20, 2017, Jave Duncan and several others were walking along Linden Boulevard when Duncan allegedly fired 6 shots from a .380 caliber pistol at a rival, striking him once in the foot. The indictment also describes an incident on April 1, 2018, when Kobe Franklin, Harold Phillips, and 2 others allegedly left Phillips's residence and entered rival territory. Franklin is accused of carrying the firearm to and from the scene, while Phillips is alleged to have used it to delete Jerome Spence, a 26-year-old construction worker.
At number 1, we have the 8 Trey Gangster Crips and 9-Way Gang indictment.
2 rappers, including Chef G, now under indictment for gang violence that terrorized neighborhoods in Central and South Brooklyn.
Williams is just one of 32 people charged with various counts of murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, and assault in an investigation that goes back nearly 3 years.
These are subjects that woke up and lived every single day with one objective, and that was to benefit the gang, gain clout for the gang.
I'll keep it real, baby. I'll keep it 100.
As rapper Chef G, Williams was a pioneer in what's known as drill, a dark, particularly aggressive genre of hip-hop that critics say glorifies gang violence and retribution. His videos have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Among those charged is Williams' protege, Tegan Chambers, known as Sleepy Hollow. Yet despite his fame and fortune, or perhaps because of it, investigators say Williams was willing to risk everything.
Brooklyn-based rapper Michael Williams, more popularly known by his stage name Chef G, has been implicated in a series of violent incidents that have rocked the borough. Alongside Williams, 31 other individuals have been charged, with the crimes resulting in the tragic death of 1 individual and injuries to 12 others. The individuals charged are believed to be members of the notorious 8 Trey Crips gang and its affiliate, the 9 Ways Gang. Their alleged criminal activities span a range of offenses, from shootings and firearm possession to using stolen vehicles in their operations. These acts were primarily targeted at rival gang members, notably from groups such as the Folk Nation Gangster Disciples and ICG Babies. The indictment, which is extensive, encompasses 27 violent incidents, of which 12 are shootings. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez has shed light on Williams aka Chef G dual life. While on one hand, he was a successful rapper, on the other, he allegedly used the proceeds from his music career to further the violent objectives of his gang. There are claims that Chef G incentivized violence by offering monetary rewards and lavish jewelry to those who carried out violent acts on behalf of the gang. One of the most harrowing incidents detailed in the indictment is a mass shooting that occurred on October 21, 2020. Surveillance footage captured Commander Dekatu, one of the accused, firing indiscriminately from a vehicle. This act resulted in the death of Theodore Sr., a rival gang member, and injuries to 5 other individuals. In the aftermath of this tragic event, Chef G alleged to have hosted a celebratory dinner in Manhattan, marking the death of Senior and the injuries sustained by the other victims. Takata now faces murder charges for his role in the incident. Meanwhile, other members, including Williams and his sister, Crystal Williams, have been slapped with charges of conspiracy to commit murder. During a press briefing, the district attorney underscored the significant role played by Chef G within the gang's hierarchy. He also highlighted the rapper's alleged misuse of his music earnings to perpetuate and escalate gang-related violence in Brooklyn.
Gang terror caught on surveillance footage, a barrage of bullets, 40 of them fired on a street corner while an innocent family with a baby walks by and ducks down for their lives. Another man runs through the lobby of a building. Behind him, gunshots are fired. Everyone inside runs and gets down. Then there's another who's staked out inside a sneaker store. There he is, they say. A half hour later, he leaves and gets shot in the middle of a public street in Bay Ridge. 2 innocent bystanders are also shot. These are just some of the alleged members of the 59 Brims Bloodhound Brims gang. 14 of them, including a 15-year-old, were charged with a 129-count indictment on weapons possession for violent crimes committed throughout the Sheepshead Bay and Coney Island neighborhoods in 2021 and 2022. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez announcing the charges Wednesday and then reading text messages exchanged between those alleged gang members, describing the disappointment that they didn't shoot and kill their intended target.
They say it's a bad drill, and the person that we allege, Antoine Favorite, says, how was it a bad drill? He's asking, like, how was it a bad drill? We chased, they shot at their rivals. He says, because nobody got hit.
According to the indictment, the alleged gang members revealed an intent for opposing gang members through music videos, recorded jail conversations, cell phone evidence, and Facebook and Instagram posts.
Prosecutors say these 14 suspects are collectively responsible for a wide variety of crimes between 2022 and 2024. They're linked to one, along with a rash of shootings that injured 9 people, including several innocent bystanders.
From opening fire on a residential Brooklyn street to shooting into cars and wounding innocent bystanders, left crying for help, these 14 alleged gang members stopped at nothing to settle their scores.
District Attorney Eric Gonzalez stated, last year, gun violence reached a record low due to strategic enforcement and targeted gang takedowns like this one, which removed 14 alleged shooters responsible for extreme violence in Coney Island and Sheepshead Bay. These individuals are accused of carrying out 19 shootings, killing a rival, and injuring innocent bystanders, recklessly endangering our communities. Focused enforcement has proven effective, and we will continue taking decisive action to keep violent criminals off our streets. The defendants are being arraigned before Brooklyn Supreme Court Justices Danny Chun and Craig Walker on a 129-count indictment, facing charges including second-degree conspiracy, attempted and criminal possession of a weapon, among other offenses. Crimes committed by members and associates of the 59 Brims and Bloodhound Brims, 2 blood-affiliated gangs operating primarily in Sheepshead Bay and Coney Island. The investigation focused on a series of violent incidents, including a deletion and multiple non-fatal shootings occurring across the 61st, 60th, 67th, 73rd, and 69th precincts since February 2021. According to the investigation, the defendants' rival gangs include Folk Nation, FNO, Woo, and G-Way, a subset of the Gorilla Stone Bloods. While tensions between the defendants' gangs and Folk Nation had existed for years, the rivalry escalated following the April 29, 2021 demise of Bloodhound Brim member Devontae Lewis, also known as Dior, outside his high school in Midwood. This event sparked a prolonged gang war that has continued for years. The 59 Brim/Bloodhound Brims defendants allegedly communicated their intent to delete rival gang members through music videos, recorded jail conversations, cell phone evidence, and social media posts on Facebook and Instagram. Text messages exchanged between the defendants suggest their goal was not just to intimidate, but to delete or seriously injure their rivals. In one conversation following a May 29, 2022 shooting that resulted in no injuries, the shooters were criticized for failing to leave the intended victims in critical condition as planned. On May 2, 2021, just 3 days after the deletion of Devontae Lewis, defendant Karen Evans and others allegedly entered Folk Nation territory near 3405 Foster Avenue in the 67th Precinct. Evans then allegedly shot a rival folk gang member multiple times in the stomach. The victim survived but sustained a lacerated liver. On February 8, 2022, at approximately 3:10 p.m., defendant Omo Goriola Omotosho and another individual allegedly followed a rival gang member to 2926 West 25th Street, a known G-Way stronghold in Coney Island. They then opened fire on the rival, shooting into the street and into the lobby, which was occupied by residents of all ages. While no one was injured, several people had to take cover to avoid the gunfire. This building, located in the heart of Brim's territory, has been the site of 3 separate shootings charged in the indictment. On May 29, 2022, at approximately 7:45 p.m., defendant Favorite, along with an associate and 2 unidentified individuals, allegedly opened fire toward a group of people gathered near a vehicle at the intersection of West 25th Street and Mermaid Avenue. One of the intended targets returned fire before fleeing into 2926 West 25th Street, a known G-Way stronghold. While no injuries were reported, several pedestrians, including a family with a young child, were forced to take cover, narrowly avoiding being caught in the crossfire. On October 9, 2022, at approximately 7:17 p.m., in front of 2957 Avenue W at the Sheepshed Bay Houses, defendant Ware and an accomplice, who has already pleaded guilty, allegedly fired multiple rounds at a perceived rival, striking him in the arm. On October 31, 2022, at approximately 5:10 p.m., in front of 2932 Avenue V at the Nostrand Houses, defendants Ware and Ron Thomas allegedly shot and deleted Jamal Nicholson, a folk gang member and prominent drill rapper. During the attack, they also shot and wounded his girlfriend, who suffered gunshot wounds to the thigh and lower abdomen and remained in critical condition for weeks. On June 23, 2023, at approximately 4 o'clock, defendant Omo Goriola Omotosho arrived at a sneaker store at 9413 Fifth Avenue in Bay Ridge for a new sneaker release. While inside, he and other Brims members spotted a rival folk gang member. At 4:10 p.m., after the rival exited the store and got into a parked car, Omotosho opened fire into the vehicle. The intended target was not hit, but 2 innocent bystanders were wounded, one inside the car and another waiting in line outside the store. The indictment of 14 alleged members of the 5'9 Brims and Bloodhound Brims marks a significant step in curbing Brooklyn's gang violence. The defendants face charges for deletion, attempted deletion, and weapons possession after 19 shootings that left 9 people injured. Law enforcement officials credit strategic gang takedowns for the city's decline in gun violence. This case reinforces their commitment to removing violent offenders and restoring safety to Brooklyn streets.
The scale and violence of Brooklyn's gang activity have prompted sweeping, multi-agency crackdowns, and the indictments are just the beginning. Whether through social media bragging, drug-fueled turf wars, or drive-by shootings that deleted children and paralyzed bystanders, these gangs left scars on entire communities. But the prosecutions also show a clear shift in strategy. Coordinated investigations, RICO charges, and long prison sentences that aim to dismantle entire crews from top to bottom. As Brooklyn continues to evolve, these cases mark a turning point in the fight to reclaim neighborhoods from street-level terror.